I wanted to start off by thanking Wes and Jonathan, Kevin, and Farah for inviting me to join you to stand and deliver in front of you a very important audience, one that's growing precipitously. I actually congratulated Wes for the growth for Channel IQ, and of course, as Andy well articulated, there is going to be even greater growth for this organization as we start seeing a change in the climates. I wanted to kick off by saying that I'm very much like all of you. I'm not proud to tell you that I am a 2,200,000 miler on United, that I spend the majority of my time hip-hopping on silver bullets at 35,000 feet, aimed at all these strange cities. And friends who do not travel the way many of us travel say, hey, how was Chicago? Was it great? Did you go to this? No, I went to the hotel, I did conference calls, I did emails, and here I am. So I'm very much like you. As a matter of fact, last week I was in Atlanta with AT&T Mobile. The week before I was both with Winnet and New Age and Cynics, spending time with Brian and Peter up in Syracuse. So I'm very, very active. I'm very active in the channel. And they said, stop and come and join us. So I have great respect for what Channel IQ has done. I was told about 14 times, do not stand and deliver and try to prove that Channel IQ is a great organization and company. It's not the purpose of this grotto together we're doing. So I wanted to kick off by saying that my greatest strength and my ability in the marketplace is very simple, that I'm a publisher. How many of you in the room are a publisher? One. I would protest, I would stand and deliver, I would do a debate and say everybody in the room is a publisher. And I learned how to be a publisher while I was with the Ziff Davis Publishing Company for 10 years. We were one of the first to bring the internet to market. We were the first to stand and deliver and say, it's the internet, stupid. We used to say that. It bothered me because I don't like using the word stupid. But I was the publisher of PC Magazine, publisher of Computer Shopper. How many remember Computer Shopper? Okay. I was the publisher of Windows Sources and Mac User and Mac Week. So 10 years of working in the environment. And what I wanted to talk about today, or what I was asked to talk about today, is since we're so focused on the B2B side and now the D2C side, I wanted to discuss the B2C and what I affectionately call C2C, because there's a C2C side that we're all trolling through. I would also suggest that you're all publishers. So when I was Executive Vice President of Samsung Electronics for 8 years, and we were neither predator nor prey to the mighty Sony and Panasonic and Sharp. In fact, they used to spit at the brand Samsung. We were the open box company. We had no channels of distribution. I walked in, we were spending $30 million a year to advertise Samsung, and I killed it. I killed it in my first 6 weeks. And the Korean families and brothers and sisters, the dispatchers, ran in and said, what have you done? What have you done? You're gonna be fired. And I said, we're spending $30 million beautiful dollars to advertise, and we're not assorted anywhere. We're not on any shelf space. So you're telling consumers to go buy us, and this was pre-internet. This was back in 1999, but you couldn't find us anywhere. So today, I purposely want to suggest you're all publishers. If you build a product in China and you bring it to America, you have now published an air conditioner. If you build a wearable and you bring it here, you've now published a wearable. So you're in the publishing business. And the goal in the publishing business, and I'm going to give this supposition, that all of us in the room are brand arbiters. And in being a brand arbiter, your goal is to build brand infatuation. Polarized to the left is brand evaporation. And if you put your publishing mindset on and you realize that the goal is to defer the cost of time-based competition, the goal is to defer the cost of time-based competition without necessarily having the best in differentiation, without necessarily having to have niggling, purse-proud, cheese-bearing products or pricing. And in this new world order, which I'd like to talk to you about today, is this okay so far? It's kind of different, right? Yeah, what the heck? Let's be different. You told me to be the entertainment for the morning, so I'm trying to entertain you. So go back to the publishing side of this. The reason you're a publisher is, at Ziff Davis Publishing, what I learned was we have a unique editorial franchise and position. Our PC magazine is stronger, better, faster than PC World because we have lab-based, unbiased product evaluations. Okay? And consumers hunt for those. But the goal as a publisher is you have this unique franchise. It's an air conditioner. It's a brand. It's a product line. You're a retailer. You have a unique editorial franchise and position, Best Buy. That's different than PC Richard. That's different than BrandSmart, right? You're supposed to. If you don't, well, you got a problem, man. So if that's the case, then the goal is traffic. The goal at Ziff Davis Publishing Company was to drive those people who had the will, the need, and the means for our unique editorial franchise and position, our air conditioner, our brand, our tools, whatever it might be. And through that process, we could go out and sell advertising. I could go to Microsoft. I could go to any brand and any company that was relevant to the PC industry and say, look, we built this. These people are running in. Look at the circulation. Look at who they are. Look at the fabric. Here's the research on them. And you need to, I set the table up, you need to go ahead and advertise and market to them. That was the basic premise. Okay? Nothing has changed. I'm sorry to tell you, I spend an enormous amount of time, and hope I can prove that to you today, on the cloud-based side of the world. But none of it has changed. It's the same formula for Google. It's the same formula for Yahoo. It's the same formula for Best Buy. It's all the same. And if you view the world as a publishing model, now the world changes for you. And you realize what you're doing is, when I had 66,000 newsstands with PC Magazine on it, and there was PC Mag, PC World, Byte, all these publications, my goal was to get to the consumer to walk up to the newsstand, pick up PC Magazine because the cover was hot, crack it open, look at it and say, my Lord, my God, I must have this publication because it will give me knowledge, it'll give me the intensity that I need, it'll make me smarter, faster, quicker. They pick it up, they take it home. They paid $2.99. Now the goal is to get them to take a subscription. I want them to take a one-year subscription to PC Magazine. Now I own that desktop, that home, that individual. So when I joined Samsung Electronics, being a publishing guy, I looked at the world and I said, well, we're a publisher. And everyone looked at me going, no, we're not a publisher. We build products and technology. No, you are a content publisher. It just so happens that your content is a DVD player. And what you do is you build a DVD player and then you place it on 66,000 shelves, and there's all this competition. Byte Magazine, PC World, whoops. No, Sony, Sharp, Panasonic. And you want the consumer, based on cosmetics, based on design, based on potentially speeds and feeds, based on brand value, and based on price, to lean forward and take and purchase in the wagon our DVD player. And when they take it home, you want a 12-month subscription. 12-month subscription? Yeah. You want them to keep it for the next 12 months. And now you have finally gotten into the idea that this is a publishing model. Now, Andy made a great point, but I can tell you, and those of us in the room that are a little deeper into the channels, because at Samsung I oversaw mobile, I oversaw semiconductor, we launched home appliances, consumer electronics, IT on the West Coast, that when you deal with the carriers, they say, no, the customer is mine. You don't have the ability to give them the services that they need, so the customer's mine, and I'll talk to the customer. If I catch you talking to the customer, I'll take you off the shelf. Now, Samsung, of course, is in a different place in time. Samsung has earned the right to be a masterful brand arbiter and brand publisher. So, having said all that, I was just setting the stage to talk about where we are today. Oh, it works. So where we are today is, in my humble opinion, is we've gone through the information economy, which is the mainframes and the mini computers. We went through what we'll call the internet economy, which was the first early stages of receiving content and back and forth and push and pull. And we realized that the internet's Darwin on speed. It's the fastest unionization of push and pull on the planet. Wow, that's incredible. And through that process, we watched many brands have the largest museum of failed products on the planet, right? And we watched companies, because you all call on companies, and you have to suspend your disbelief sometime when you call on them, all the way to the right, and now I'm talking about the back end of their company. I'm talking about, I don't even get omni-channel. Omni-channel? What in the name of God are you talking about? Walmart, you have your merchants in Bentonville for the stores. 4,100 stores, 10,000 total in the world. But your .com is in California. So it's omni-channel? I'm a little confused about that. Also, why is the concept of hubs and nodes broken? A physical store should have the same power and authority digitally as they do in corporate headquarters. That's what's broken. You're telling me that companies 1,000 miles away, 2,000 miles away, 5,000 miles away are able to compete with a store that's 2 blocks from your home? Am I in Wackoville? Do I have vertigo? This is the land of the impossible. So as the master of the obvious who says, well, why doesn't Best Buy just deliver to my home? Okay, now they do, but what's going on? What are we missing here? Are you kidding me? Jeff Bezos? Brilliant. Hey, how you doing? You having a good day? Yeah, we got spaceships now. Yeah, we're going to beam them down. And by the way, the 3D printing, you order it and you turn your printer on and the product will be in your house in 3 minutes. Having a good day now? Why are we doing nothing about this? So what's happened is the consumers now have all the power. The brand doesn't have the power. The retailer doesn't have the power. And the reason is that in those economies we talked about, and by the way, the fourth economy, and forgive me if anyone has it, I can't come up with a better turn of phrase for it, is what I call the ADD economy. And the reason I call it that is consumers, carbon units, human capital, all of us, we have 3 lives, a home life, a business life, and a mobile life. And what's happened is, if you're not on a smartphone, you're on a tablet. If you're not on a tablet, you're on a phablet. If you're not on a phablet, you're on a wearable. If you're not on a wearable, you're actually on your phablet while you're watching TV and talking to your wife. Everyone's a mile wide, nobody's an inch deep. So now, today, I'm announcing, many of you might have heard this before, we're now in what I call the post-digital era, the post-digital economy. And there are 5 masterful, mammoth, behemoth forces that are changing the way we operate, changing the way we would articulate, whether we're B2B, B2C, D to D, G to D, F to C, whatever it is. Whether you're Soho, Moho, Loho, Toho, Roho. Whether you are running a rational channel strategy or an irrational channel strategy. And those 5 forces are. And is he going to ever say what the 5 forces are? What the 5 forces are, I want you to realize that those forces are not owned by you, the brand. They're not owned by the retailer. It is now a 3-legged stool. Consumers own the 5 forces. Manufacturers and brands own the 5 forces. And retailers own the 5 forces. This is a C-level change in this post-digital economy. And we've all given all the consumers the tools. And those 5 forces are social. And it blows me away, back to the stores. You're telling me a piece of steel, call it a cloud, from 2,000 miles away can be more social than a blue shirt, green shirt, orange shirt, yellow shirt in a store? Wow. That's absolutely, none of us are going to have jobs in 10 years if that's the case. What do we need for you to go call on Win It for? Or D&H, or Best Buy, or Circuit City, or even your customers? We'll just have a machine do it. The second force, the second power force is analytics. And you know, it's amazing to me, I actually did a keynote for Nielsen's TV up front 4 years ago. And I stood there, for those of you that understand that business, and I said, I'd like to meet Mr. Nielsen. I'd like to meet Mrs. Nielsen. I understand there are 1,500 boxes that are actually telling us what we should be advertising and where, and what they're watching and what they think about. Does Mr. Nielsen have a dog? Does he have a cat? What does his wife look like? So that force is happening. And those analytics have changed the game for everybody. The measurements are at the speed of sound, as we know. The internet's throwing on speed. The third is mobile. And when you start thinking about mobile and what's happening, there are approximately 180 million Americans who have a smartphone. 180 million Americans who have a smartphone. There is approximately 1.47. Andy, I don't know if you're in the room. The number is 1.47, according to eMarketer, trillion dollars in e-commerce sales, of which North America remains a third. That's what will happen in 2014. And this year, there'll be $47 billion spent by advertisers and marketers to advertise on the internet. 47 billion. And by the way, for the first time in the history of this business, since I stayed close with Nielsen, it's more advertising done across the first inch of a piece of glass tethered to the internet than it is in broadcast TV. And this year, actually in 2013, we did about $9.5 million in mobile advertising. 9.5 million. You think so? No. $9.5 billion in advertising in North America, and it's projected to be at 2017 about $60 billion, 5x plus in growth. Having said all that, if you look at the three-legged stool, at the very top is content on the three-legged stool. Content is the publishing model we talked about. Content might be a DVD player, it might be a video, it might be a game, it might be anything. And the three-legged stool now is you got to have consumers who have the will, the need, and the means for that content. You've got to have a place for them to go buy it, which is a retailer somewhere, someplace. And you've got to have somebody to manufacture. And if any one of those is broken in the new post-digital economy and era, you're out of business. The fourth. So we said social, analytics, mobile, the cloud itself. I was reminded in 1965, Mick Jagger, what a harbinger he was. Hey, you, get off of my cloud. Maybe he knew, right? Maybe he knew. And maybe, who was the Guess Who? Boy, I'm really dating myself. I got no time. That's why it's the ADD economy now into the post-digital economy. But think about the cloud and the power of the cloud and the disruption that the cloud is doing right now to all operating systems, to all companies. And the ascensions of the cloud, most best promulgated, most best scotched, most best driven is by Amazon, has caused the descension of a multitude of standard business fairs like retailers across America. We're going to talk about that in a second. The fifth is cyber data. So the fifth disruptor or enabler. So if we juxtaposition that, all the way to the right, complexity is the refuge of the sure. All the way to the left, consistency is the refuge of the unsure. And somewhere in between, the cynosure of that perfection is to capture those five aggregators, if you will, and protract them. Now, if you're like me and you go into major retailers or major corporations or major manufacturers and you say, can you show me your war room, your digital war room? They look at me, a digital war room? Yeah, you know, the room where you've got 7 people in there, or 2 people, or 1, and there's 14 screens. First one's an EDI link to all of your retail stores. Second one is supply chain management. What's on the boat? What's coming over? Third one is what's going on in your social network. Fourth one is what are you doing to drive the brand and how's the value going up? Fifth one is the cold steel of the P&L. Are you winning or losing? Sixth one is market penetration. I can't tell you how many times I bring that up and they just kind of laugh at me going, no, we don't do that. So then I say, oh, I understand. So what's the DNA? What's the digital DNA? What's your strategy going forward in this post-digital economy? And it blows my mind. Andy used the word ambient, which I love. It blows my mind that they say to me, Peter, listen, slow it down, babe. This is reality. Thanks for your oration here. And I remind them I'm out there every day fighting for my life, being rejected and kicked. I am, just like you. Rejected, kicked. No, thank you, it's good, but come back next spring. Go ahead and tell your boss that one. And the reality is that they say, Peter, well, let me explain something. You see, the CMO and the marketing department is over here. Corporate communications is here, and that's where social networking is. And then over here is the sales organization, but you know, they're really out in the field. And what I try to articulate and navigate for them is that in the post-digital era and economy, it has to be ambient. Every single department must be socially enabled, and it must be brought up into one pod. And every single department must have the analytics, and they must have a mobile strategy, and they must have a cloud strategy, and they must have cyber data. How many of you are tired and beleaguered and have angst about this acronym, CRM? I've been hearing about CRM, talking about CRM. I built an incredible CRM system on a SaaS backend at Samsung Electronics, and nobody seems to be doing it. And by the way, I affectionately say CRM stands for customers really matter. And if customers really matter as opposed to customer relationship management, which is for a pocket protector in the back room, then you'll know everything about me. You'll know where I live. You'll know what I bought. You'll know my sequences. You'll know and you'll take care of me. And you will actually invade me in a positive way when I go to your site and you say, oh, really? You like this movie Spartans? Here is 3 other movies that are the same, which, of course, we know where that started from and emanated from. So CRM is so lacking in so many companies. And how about SCRM? Where is, under the social in the new post-digital economy, where is the social CRM, let alone the standard CRM for data mining, data visting? The last piece is, and I said it earlier, if you want omni-channel, then you give every one of your stores the power of 5. So that when the local customer walks in, we know who they are. We know what they bought. We know what's important to them. We know they already went to the website. We know how much they spent last year. We know their family. It blows my mind that we're calling it omni-channel, but the stores themselves are not being engaged. They're living their world, corporates live in their world, and to me it's not omni-channel. So in the post-digital economy, it both provokes and harvests new opportunities. The questions you ask yourself is your company, is your brand, is your channel strategies, is your publishing model, is it about harvesting, is it about hunting, or are you a farmer? And I got to tell you, in the world I come from, which is consumer electronics, I live in a hyper-changing short product life cycle where many companies like Samsung are launching a new product literally every day. I mean, Samsung will launch about 275 new products that are upgrades, that are differential on a global scale. And how do they do it? So having said that, when you look at the type of scale we're talking about in mobile, we have given consumers the same power we have. And we've trained them like Pavlov's dogs to want to go on the internet as opposed to doing anything else, to want to go on your mobile device and the tablet devices. How many of you how many of you play golf? Okay. Did you hear about Dick's Sporting Goods? Yeah, they just made the announcement. They took a $14 million, you know, these are big numbers. For me, with some of the small companies I'm working with, $14 million, holy smokes, they took a $14 million charge against their operating income in the last quarter to write down $14 million worth of golf equipment. They're taking 20 feet in each of their stores. They have 750 stores. They're taking each of their feet and dropping it from 20 to 4 feet of golf equipment. That's how bad the traffic has been going into the store to buy golf equipment. And feel forlorn about this, and Les Miserables. They announced in this process that they're laying off 550 of the golf pros that were in those aisles. These are golf pros. And it was one of their great advantages that when you go to Dick's, you talk to a golf pro and they would give you information. They're gone. And they're gone because we're in the post-digital economy and the world is changed dramatically. So really the question is, what are the 3 killer KPIs? Because I live in KPIs, as I know each of you do. And your KPIs are measured differently, but it always goes back to the cold steel of, what are you doing for me now? What have you done lately? What is in your, yeah, Andy, I get it, there's still pipelines. Do we not still live in pipelines? Right? We're launching a new product, we got to forecast that product, we got to sell that product. So the 3 killer KPIs, and I know you're aware of these things, so I told you that later on you'll call me the master of the obvious, that look at the amounts of downloads to brands, to publishers. Make no mistake about it, Google and Apple and all of us are publishers, in my humble opinion. 25 billion downloads. We're empowering consumers with every tool and every trick in the book that is far beyond what we're doing in corporate and business America today. And number two, we're using mobile devices to drive them to actually make a sale. And if Amazon taught us anything, they said, listen, and I agree with Andy on this one, this awareness thing, running TV advertising to go, how you doing? You having a good day? You should think about us. 5 more seconds. And there's these metaphors, right? Lady's running down the street. She trips and falls, picks up the dog, runs along, bing, bing, bing. Oh, Johnson & Johnson has new care for you. You should buy it. That's dead. That's gone. What we've learned from Amazon is everything connects together at once. The brand, the product, the price, the reviews, juxtaposition by either the social network or by actual reviewers themselves, and they take the order. So, what's the definition of direct? I'll leave that up for you to ponder, but my definition is that direct to me today in building brands is capturing and servicing imagination at the last 3 feet of the sale. And if servicing imagination means I want to know the brand, says the consumer, I want to know the product, I want to know the price, I want to know how it's juxtaposed, and I want it right now. Because one thing we know about this new post-digital economy, and I wouldn't be innocuous about it, is nobody has any patience. We're training everybody to be impatient. I want it now, and I want it my way. And I'm busy, and I'm fast, and I'm quick. But the one in the middle, the retail, which is a huge KPI, because without retail, and call retail cloud, call it distributors, call it aggregators, call it VARs, VADs, whatever you want to call it, without them being able to participate and protect your brand, to build brand evaporation and protect your pricing, with consumers knowing everything about you. The 4 walls of a distributor, the 4 walls of retail are porous now. We see everything, don't we, as consumers? Yes? You don't like this? It's different, right? I mean, you can at least say this is whatever this guy's talking about, it's different. This is the world I live in. When I'm done here, I'm probably out in the field somewhere getting my butt kicked again, so thanks for letting me do this. So the real question is, what do consumers want today? Now that we've trained them, now that we've given them more tools than you and I have, now that they are subject matter experts on how to pull down apps, how to go on the internet, how to utilize Google. I talked about Ziff Davis Publishing. It's still alive and well, ziffdavis.com. And my good friend Vivek Shaw, who used to run a couple of the magazines in digital at Time, is there now. And I was talking to him one day, and I said, what percentage of all traffic to PCMagazine.com comes through Google? This is about 2 years I asked him, and I didn't know. I was just curious. And he looked at me, looked at his charts, and he said 97% of all traffic comes to PC Magazine through Google. I go, what did you say? He goes, yeah, 97% of all traffic goes through Google. I said, what's going to happen when Google looks up one day and goes, hi, everybody, you having a good day? Yeah, you know what we discovered? Look at this chart. When somebody calls up horse saddles, okay, 5 million people over 2 months looks at horse saddles. But 97% only look at the first page. Another 3% look at the second page, and all those other 475 pages we're serving, nobody's looking at them. So from now on, we're only going to have a page because we have to be efficient too. What would happen to all of our businesses? So in this post-digital economy, what consumers really want looks and smells a little bit like this. They want knowledge. They want facts. They want it now. And they want it to be perfect. And we trained them on all that. So it's no longer the style going into the stores. Andy said, they already know what they're going to buy. They're already playing with the people in the store or the machines in the store. So we need to figure out ways to ensure that we're delivering them that. And the second one is the instant gratification that they receive through all of these various touch points on the internet. And I'm not going to read these. I want you to just absorb them because you already know them. Boy, I am the master of the obvious. Peter, this looks like pretty obvious stuff. Yeah, okay. But we have a lot of recidivists. Who knows what a recidivist is? It's a lawbreaker. It's somebody who breaks the law of how to go to market in a particular economy that's a fleeting glimpse of the obvious to all of us. And I want to say to you that creativity and imagination allows you to escape the predictable. Creativity and imagination allows you to escape the predictable. The predictable is you go in to sell your wares at Best Buy and the merchant goes, nah, not interested. But if you were more creative and you used more imagination on how you positioned the product, blah, 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 you're going to win. You're going to have an opportunity. So what I don't understand is, and we all have different ways to look at creativity. When I saw this TV commercial of a masterful corporation who had a monopoly for multiple decades in the Wintel architecture, who's trying to find their new way, and decided, I got it, let's be a publisher now, not just of operating systems, not just of software, let's create products and publish those products. This is how they came to market. And I have an opinion on it, and I'm sure we all do, but let's go back to the cold steel of the P&L. The referee on opinions will be, how did this do? So let's take a look at this pretty big company and how they came to market about 14, 15 months ago. So I think if it was all of us and we were sitting in the wacky room and we were about to launch a product, you know, we'd all have all these questions and dynamics and a mosaic of how to do it, right? How do we juxtapose against our competition? What are we going to say about the product? How are we going to make a market for the product? How are we going to make the distributors and the channel and the retailers? How are we going to fire up the base? Let's go back to CRM. How many have been buying Microsoft products for your whole life? Thank you for those that raised your hands. Those that didn't, you're buying them anyways. Or your company's buying them, okay? They don't know who I am. I've spent, I got to believe, $150,000 to $200,000 of my lifetime on Microsoft, and they don't know who I am. How could that be? Where's the CRM? Where's the SCRM? Don't tell me about warranty cards. Oh, you didn't fill out the warranty. Baloney. Okay? And here they go coming out with a magnificent product. The product is outstanding. And that's the way they go to market. So I'm going to show you the results of that campaign. But before I do that, I do want you to know I went to Best Buy, and there was a Microsoft service rep right after this came out, standing right there with 4 or 5 versions of Surface from the Pro all the way down RT and so on. And I walked up to him and I said, excuse me, can you show me the right way to slam this on the table? And he went, what do you mean? I go, well, I just saw your TV commercial. In fact, I saw a lot of your TV commercial, and I noticed that your greatest feature, advantage, and benefit, because I'm a knowledgeable person who can go on Google and find out any information. I already have my tools. I'm already using Apple, or I'm already using Microsoft, whatever, and I've got tablets and phablets and everything else. How do you smash it on the table? Can you do it any way you want? And he suspended his disbelief and goes, sir, I don't know what you're talking about. And so that disruption of actually going out and trying to promulgate a marketplace and be a market maker or a market taker in a world where we're in the post-digital economy and you don't light up your CRM, you didn't light up the social networks, and you didn't give what we just showed on the last slide. We want knowledge, right? So here were the results. They took a $920 million charge in the first 9 months for inventory adjustments. By the way, wink, wink. That's price erosion. That's dropping the price across the channel. Because we all know, right? We call and they say, OK, you got a 6-week lock on these surfaces. We're going to project, look at all this advertising. We'll buy 20,000 in November, 20,000 in December, in January we'll buy another 50,000. Okay? So they had to drop their price dramatically. Now, why do you drop price? Back to publishing. You publish something, you're supposed to drive traffic to it, right? And you're supposed to make a market with it through a channel. Well, it blew up. And also, can you imagine how many of you would like to have $900 million to advertise a new product launch? There's at least one. And so the force of 5 and looking at the power, because consumers have social, consumers have instant analytics, consumers have mobile devices that are bolted to their hips, their heads, their eyes, their wrists, and they've got cyber data that they collect. And I'm going to show you an example of what's happening with consumers. It's kind of crazy. Let me show you the second commercial Microsoft ran, because this is mind-boggling. After 6 months of not getting it right, they decided to come out with this. Now, what I didn't tell you was on the Discovery Channel, there was a 1.5-hour special on these commercials. And they had you meet the actors in the commercial. They showed them your dance moves. It won awards. Here comes the next commercial. You know, in the post-digital era that we're in, there's not enough time in the world to start doing awareness like this and then have somebody defend it by saying, hey, you don't get it, Peter? We were building awareness so that they would go to Google and then go to the... No, there's no time for that. There's no time for that. And another example in the post-digital era that blows my mind, and I want to say this about Staples. I don't know if many of you have been following Ron Sargent at Staples, the CEO. He recently announced that their sales online are more than 50% of the total sales of Staples. Are you aware of that? Publicly, you can look it up. More than 50% of their sales is online. They're closing 225 stores this year. Now, they're advantaged because they sell B2B and B2C, correct? So it's easy for, you know, call up, I'm an assistant, I'm going to buy this, or I'm a manager. But at the same time, Ron Johnson, and sorry, we can't leave it alone. We're not going to let him out of this trap, who came from Apple, the king, queen, and nobility of the post-digital era, and said, we're going to take JCPenney, and we're going to take price, and we're not going to discount anymore, and we're not going to coupon anymore, and we're not going to give consumers who we've been working with for 100 years what we gave them before, because it's not good for us. So in the post-digital economy where price, brand, convenience, knowledge, all are congeniered as one, this is what they did, and then I'm going to tell you the results of this campaign. How many of you know the story? It needs to be taught in business school, in my humble opinion. Oh, sorry. My God, he missed a slide. I just wanted to say about Microsoft, look at the reviews. Walt Mossberg, who's now at Red, who was at the Wall Street Journal, gave it huge thumbs up. Forbes said, oh my God, look at the power of this thing, 128 gigabytes at this price. This is an ultrabook disguised as a tablet. So if you want to have all of your applications and all of your power, not in just a tablet that's tethered to the internet, but internet plus all of that, this is your big winner. And there's Steve Ballmer. You know, we had an extraordinary time trying to figure out what happened here, and it all crashed on us. Because you're talking to consumers who are more empowered than us in the new post-digital economy, and you can't fool them. They won't get fooled again. Thank you, Pete Townsend. Take a look at the JCPenney commercial where they changed everything. When I first saw this, I said to myself, wow, JCPenney's is really smart. They're going to push the agenda that they have the lowest prices and coupons and discounts is what everybody wants, right? We know the story. You go up to the cash register now and you show your mobile coupon, right? But it was the opposite. And here were the results. They laid off 22,000 employees 9 months after this whole campaign launched. Their stock went down 40% during that same period of time. Same-store sales went down 26%. And they were deprived of $4.3 billion in revenue for the year. Their revenues were down 25%. And they're still fighting back right now. They're still at a loss right now, as are many retailers, because they're trying to figure out this new publishing model. So again, I say, let's do a reality checkup from the neck up. You like doing checkups from the neck up? That's what they're called when somebody pulls you in and goes, how come the numbers aren't there? How come you couldn't sign up to distribute? It's a checkup from the neck up. They demand knowledge, social convenience, relevancy, and best prices. Best prices. And you know what? They're not waiting for us anymore. They're not waiting for the retailer. They're not waiting for the manufacturer. They are connected mobily, and they have the power of the force of 5. And I want to show you one quick example of a company. How many of you have heard of Sensei? Okay, nobody. There are hundreds of Senseis. I could stand here for 5 days and show you all these companies that are building what retailers have never done and manufacturers and brands have never done. They're building dashboards. They're building dashboards for consumers on pricing, on social networking, on information. Let me show you this video. It's mind-boggling. So that three-legged stool is real. If you don't have the consumer, there's no manufacturers or retailers. If you have no manufacturer, there's no retailer and there's no consumer. Look what consumers are doing. Look at the empowerment they have.
You've shot video with your iPhone, uploaded it to YouTube or Vimeo, embedded it on Facebook and Tumblr, shared it with your closest 678 friends, and even got a few dozen comments. You have an Etsy store selling homemade rough cedar iPhone chargers. You're on eBay selling the last copy of that 1984 signed Beastie Boys vinyl. But what if you could bring all those cool sites together to create a compelling, viral-based selling machine? Now you can. Sensei takes all the best of online video, e-commerce, social media innovation, and puts it all into one platform. Leverage the newest in technology to maximize the most of what you have to sell. Don't just be new media. Be a titan of trade. Sensei. See it. Sold.
So I have no affiliation with Sensei. I want to say that, okay? So you don't think this is a commercial for Sensei. It's just an example. We're going to make consumers titans of trade. Oh, my God. Talk about the confusion of purpose and channels of distribution and this whole internet versus retail stores and so on. Now consumers are getting in the game. And the amazing part is it's being recognized. CMOs and CEOs are reassessing everything. And the pressure is beyond belief. No one tells you this, but inside the four walls of corporations, small business and medium and large, they're totally confused. Some of them got it, and we can name them by brand, the top 20 brands. But if you don't have the money, you don't have the assets, and you don't have a leader who understands the publishing business across your entire enterprise, the desktop, the work group, the enterprise, and then affiliating it out, you have a problem. CMOs and CEOs are looking and saying, oh my God, look how many people are on tablets. Look how many people are on mobile. They're buying. They're moving. It's changing. What are we doing about that process? And do we have command and control? And then finally, when you look at the budgets of the CMO, even though they're moving bigger and bigger portions to the internet, which is Darwin on speed, to build their brand, to build their markets, to turn that cash register on, they're not doing a lot of things that we're talking about here. Where's the brand protection? Where's the price protection? Where's the rational channel strategy that should be coming out of the chief marketing officer who's in charge of taking that product that's been published and bringing it into the market to make or take a market? So I think that the two killer brand KPIs, it all comes down to this. Brand is the refuge of the ignorant. to a consumer. When's the last time you saw a consumer in the aisle, the TV aisle of Best Buy with pliers and screwdrivers and saying, yeah, I'm going to open up Sharp, Panasonic, Samsung, and Sony and see what's inside? No. They buy based on the power of that brand. And I have a formula called PVC, price over value equals the real cost and the real value to the consumer. Price over value. As you drive down the price, trust me, you're driving down the value. I think we can all agree to that. I think that's at the heart of discussions we're going to have this week. As you keep price strong and you drive the value of that product up, the value of the way you articulate it in the post-digital economy, the value of how it juxtapositions in line logic versus your competition, the value of being in a time-to-volume market where you can push a button on your CRM, SCRM, go out into your channel, changes your game entirely. And that protection and that envelope around all of this shows what's going on the right side. On the right side, the black and white, that's the real cold steel of the dangerment of a brand. And we're seeing much too much of that along the way. But I will tell you that the post-digital economy is not just about manufacturers or brands, it's about consumers. We've done it. We've empowered all the consumers to take a vital and viable position of owning what they'll buy, when they'll buy it, which brands, which retailers, at the speed of sound. It's all positive if you think about it. We've empowered them to buy more, and we've empowered them to buy when they're in the bathroom. They don't have to just get in a car. But it's changing the way we operate. It's changing models of these various companies. And so I'm just going to suggest that there are principles to capitalize in the post-digital era, my wrap-up slide, before I show you a happy video. You want to see one happy video? Yeah, you got to, right? Because it's a little dry. All this is a little bit dry, unless you have the passion and the energy and the excitement that you love it, like I do as a publisher. I'm in publishing land here today. It's great. So organizational leadership. If your CEO is not a publisher, if your CEO does not have affection for everything we talked about today, we have got to fix that. Or your CFO, or certainly your CIO. But without them buying in and taking capitalization and assets and human capital in this new post-digital economy and era, you got a big problem. Very clearly, the C-level forces is social analytics, mobile cloud, and cyber data. Oh yeah, they call it big data. I refuse to call it big data. It should be called small data. If it was small data, Microsoft would have known who I am and would have said, we want you to see this new surface and get your opinion on it. But they didn't. Brand products reviews, pricing, and sold as one. You don't do branding over here. You don't talk about your product over. It's all now ambient as one force, as been trained by all of us when we go on the internet. Capitalize all company assets through mobile engagements, through social engagements. It's not good that your service department is not on your social network. It's not good that they don't have the ability to email back a customer. I don't even understand these things. It seems like a fleeting glimpse of the obvious. And then partner, protect, and command. Rational channel strategies are not hard to do. And for those of you who are like me, I've got all these different companies I'm working with. There's a few small ones. You find out that on the marketplace, yeah, there's a product that you're trying to sell, and it's $40 off the price. Well, for us, mechanically, because there isn't enough dollars, we have to go in, buy 2 products, and chase the serial number. We understand that. But the reality is there needs to be a granite wall of protection for your brand. And there needs to be tools in this post-digital economy that allows you to do it at the speeds of sound. So you can shut it down, you can correct it, and most importantly, when you go into Walmart and they go, hey, this happened to me, I was at B&H. Who knows Isaac at B&H? Photo. Somebody? Good. And he's sitting there and he's going, while I'm talking to him, oh, we have the greatest products in the world, blah, blah, blah. He's on his screen at B&H. They all have their screens, the merchants. And I'm going, what are you doing? He goes, pulls the screen around and he goes, there's 5 infractions of the product that you want me to carry right now on Amazon. What are you doing about it? Now, the way we do it is we bird dog it every day. I don't have the human capital. I don't have the time. So we've got to figure a different way. So if I can leave you with something in the post-digital era or economy, it's this. At least today, a guy got up who's doing what you do every single day. I go out there and fight the good fight. You know, at Samsung, I had 5,700 people reporting to me. and we built an empire. We took that company from 210 million when I started to 3.7 billion, just in consumer electronics. All in North America, we were about 18 billion. ViewSonic, we were in last place, number 15. You remember NEC, companies like NEC? We were in last place, number 15. In 2.5 years, we became the #1 best-selling monitor display in all of retail and distribution behind Dell. Dell owned the #1 position, believe it or not. And at Circuit City, man, did I learn a lesson. How many of you have ever worked for a retailer? Okay, so those of you who have the camaraderie with me on it, I was in a state of shock for the first 30 days. I thought I knew as the manufacturer, here's how oh my God. 18-hour days, every single day. How's this department doing? What are the revenues? What are the profit? What is the sell-through? Call up that brand. Tell them if they don't drop the price. We can't tell you to drop the price, of course, but if you don't want to make that decision, then we're cutting our forecast past the 6-week lock. Oh my God. And the big brands would just come in. Oh, really? Don't tell us what product it is. Here's $2 million. But the little brands couldn't do that. So I leave you with this. I really believe in my heart and mind that this post-digital economy is really about servicing imagination and creativity with all the tools that were made available to us across social, analytics, mobile, the cloud itself, and the multitude and the metricity of the cloud, and big data, which I like to call small data. But I have a jaunty spirit, and I thought I would show you one last video. This is really the ability to sell product. This is the ability that someone really understood who their buyer was. This is the ability to make a market or take a market competitively, juxtaposition against all your other competitors in just a few minutes. So I wanted to introduce you to a friend of mine. His name is Harvey. And let's see what you think about Harvey and the way Harvey is working in the post-digital economy. Thank you everybody very much, and God bless.